Strap in, buckle up, and get ready to lay it on the line. This is Not Speeding, Just Qualifying, a podcast that's just as fast as it sounds. What's up, family? Happy Fast Friday. Welcome to another episode of the No Speeding, Just Qualifying podcast. I'm your host, David Lawrence. Before I get started, a huge thanks to everybody who has been rocking with me all week long on this podcast journey. I've been trying my best to give you guys a good content set as we get you guys ready for Saturday's Rolex 24 at Daytona. The IMSA season, the North American racing season, is about to begin. Can't you tell I'm excited? It feels like Christmas in January, and to us racing fans that make this trek to Daytona Beach at the end of January every year, it truly does. Yes, I know the Daytona 500 is coming. That'll be covered in this episode. That'll be covered in this podcast at some point. But this is all about IMSA. This is about the sports cars. So it's definitely a lot of fun and a blast to cover. So this week, we have covered a little bit of everything. We talked about IMSA on Tuesday. We kind of gave you a little bit of groundwork of the organization overall. But I didn't go through the full slate of series that is under IMSA sanction. In total, there's 8 series that IMSA are in control of. There's 5 spec series. It's the Mazda MX-5 Cup, the Porsche Carrera Cup North America, the Ford Mustang Challenge, the Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and the Ferrari Challenge. All of these single one make spec series that are controlled by the manufacturer. IMSA basically is just the sanctioning body of the series. I've taught you guys to death about the WeatherTech series, so you guys already know about that. You guys are going to watch that. I have no faith in my mind that you will. In yesterday's show, I mentioned Miss Christina Lamb. She's a driver in the second tier Michelin Pilot Challenge, which is basically the next ladder for teams and drivers that are aspiring to move up to the big series. But today I want to talk about the 8th and final series that's under IMSA sanction. That's the third tier in the sports car ladder, which is the VP Fuels Sports Car Challenge. Over the Roar weekend, that series had their opening 2 rounds of the championship. Aaron Brovada is a member of Turner Motorsports and was kind enough to talk to me on the grid before Saturday's opening round of the VP Sports Car Challenge to give an explanation of the series and his experience working in the IMSA paddock. Enjoy our conversation. Aaron, thanks so much for taking some time out to speak with me. We're on the grid here for the IMSA VP Sports Car Challenge. I got some listeners. They are not familiar with racing at all. Can you tell us what the IMSA VP Sports Car Challenge is all about?
Sure. So VP is kind of set up to be a grooming series for new drivers, old drivers, guys that are just kind of moving up the line. So Mr. Barletta, he's in this car. He ran GS with us for a couple years, so he's very much been moving forward. He loves these GT3 cars, but this is a good way for him to play with a nice GT3 race car without being out with the group of the big boys.
So that's a really fun way of putting it. Hey, if you're accident prone, this is the perfect place. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding with you. So now, Aaron, tell us a little bit about the race format. You guys have 2 races this weekend. Tell us a little bit about the race format. How long are the races? Do you guys have pit stops during these races?
Yeah, again, this is kind of built as a grooming series, so no pit stops in this series. We can come in if we lose a tire, fix the car, do anything necessary, but it's kind of a set it and forget it series is what I like to call it. So you fill it with fuel, you put the tires on, you're going to race, send the driver, and keep your fingers crossed.
And how many races do you guys have in VP Sports Car Challenge?
So it's a 6-track series with 2 races per weekend. So 12 races total, all 45 minutes. Again, just a good chance for different drivers that are working their way up to to get some more seat time in the big boy car.
Awesome. Speaking of the big boy car, you're part of Turner Motorsports, which has a very, very, very big armada over the course of the next 2 weeks. You guys are not racing just in the Sports Car Challenge today and tomorrow, but you guys will be racing next week in both the Pilot Challenge 4-hour and the Rolex 24 itself. Are you part of either of those teams? And if so, will you be staying through the duration of next weekend?
Personally, myself, I'm not on the pit stop team this year for the 24. In years past, yes, I have been when we ran 2 cars. I pit crewed and did all the stops with the Macintosh car. So I'll be headed back to the shop with this thing to get it fixed up for the next round.
Okay.
And, unless somebody gets hurt in the meanwhile or gets sick, I'll jump on a plane and come back.
Oh, wow. I know that's going to be a little bit expensive, but you have to drop on the plane and come back.
It's just what we do all the time.
Wow. And how long have you been in the business, if you don't mind me asking?
This is my 11th season in pro racing.
Wow. That's awesome. What in 11 years, what's been the biggest takeaway for you in just being part of this great paddock?
It's always interesting to see. You meet some real nice people, a lot of nice fans that follow us and pay attention to what we do. So really, I do it for the pit stops and the adrenaline. You get to act like you're still in college doing some sports. So for me, obviously everything about the industry is pretty cool, but doing the pit stops, banging tires on, having to have perfect results every time, that's what brings the team to the top of the ladder. And P1's really our only goal.
There you go. And with a very big team like Turner, I would expect that's the only thing. Well, I've always wanted to magnify like the unsung heroes of the paddock, and that's the crew members, not just for the WeatherTech Sports Car Series, but for the lower series like Michelin Pilot, like the VP Sportscar. So I can only speak for myself. I appreciate you guys coming out here to give us a great opportunity for you guys to showcase for us, the fans, and it's an awesome opportunity. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it, and best of luck to you guys over the next couple of days.
Yeah, my pleasure. Have a good one.
Turner had 3 cars racing in the VP Sports Car Challenge. You heard Aaron mention Vincent Barletta. The other 2 cars were driven by Matt Dalton and Jake Walker. Jake unfortunately ran into issues both days, finishing last in both. Matt also ran into issues failing to finish race 1. He did come back for a 12th place finish in his class in the second race, while Vincent had a solid weekend, finishing 6th in class in both race 1 and 2. When I get the chance, I love to highlight unsung heroes of motorsports, and these are the crew members who work tirelessly on their vehicles week in and week out to make sure these cars are as competitive as possible. And for these guys, this is their longest stretch of the year. Some people have been in Daytona. At the time I'm releasing this podcast, it's the day before the Rolex 24. They're going on 2 weeks without being at home. They've been in their shops doing double-digit hour days for months since the end of last season started for them in October, just to get ready for their one shot at glory this weekend. It's the hard work and effort of men and women like Aaron and all the mechanics across the paddock that help make race weeks like this possible. And while I'm thinking of unsung heroes, I also have to shout out the media and the behind-scenes crew at IMSA and NASCAR that help to make weekends like this enjoyable for us fans. Thanks again to Aaron for giving me time on the grid Saturday to interview him, to talk to him about his place in the sport and just how much fun he continues to have. And to all the mechanics out here working in the IMSA paddock, if you do happen to come across this at some point, please know, personally, I see you, I salute you. Thank you for all your hard work. It truly is without saying that without you guys, we cannot, as fans, enjoy an amazing series like this. If you are hearing this episode on the day it's being released, it is Friday, January 24th. It is the day before the Rolex 24 at Daytona. So I do want to give you guys a brief, as in how you guys can watch the entire Rolex 24 at Daytona. Coverage will kick off Saturday, 1:30 Eastern on NBC, big NBC. The green flag for the race itself will fly at 1:40 p.m. NBC will have the opening 50 minutes of the race, and they'll have you till 2:30 p.m. Eastern. At that point, you will flip over to USA Network, and USA Network will have the next 4 hours of race coverage for you. After that, the race will be exclusively on Peacock. By the way, the race in its entirety will be streamed live on Peacock. If you are not in the United States, no worries. And I'm pretty sure our friends outside the U.S., if you do come across this, will be very happy to know. IMSA TV, IMSA's YouTube channel, you guys can stream the entire race live, uninterrupted on the IMSA TV and IMSA YouTube platforms. Literally from streaming does start at 1:35 Eastern on Saturday. That's 1:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. So make sure you're adjusting your clocks for my non-American TV followers. My Canadians, at least you have it a little bit easier. If you're still in the States, remember you are on Peacock all the way, literally from the time we go on the air on NBC at 1:30 on Saturday to 2 p.m. Sunday afternoon. With that being said, NBC will be back on the air for the final hour 40 minutes of the Rolex 24. That coverage comes on at noon Eastern on Sunday, and that will take you all the way to the checkered flag at 1:40 Eastern Time. Again, so just to recap, we'll start on big NBC, 1:30 Saturday. We'll do an hour of coverage there. You can see the entire race on Peacock starting at 1:30 all the way up until 2 Eastern Sunday. USA Network will have 4 hours of coverage from 2:30 to 6:30 for the Rolex 24 on Saturday. But from 6:30 Eastern Saturday night all the way up until noon on Sunday, the race will be exclusively on Peacock. And then NBC will be back on the air for the final hour 40 minutes. And they'll have 2 hours total of coverage, including post-race. That coverage will go from 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. Hopefully you got that. I do apologize if that was a little confusing. But if you do need a refresher on this, head on over to IMSA.com. They'll have the full schedule for you there. Well, my friends, that wraps up one amazing week of coverage here on the Not Speeding, Just Qualifying podcast. All that's left to do is race the 63rd running of the Rolex 24 at Daytona. A few words of thanks. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me all week long and enjoying this content I've been able to crank out for you. Special thanks to everyone who gave me a little bit of time at the Roar. Aaron Brovada, IMSA President John Doonan, Christina Lamb, Parker Kligerman, Mike Shank. Huge thanks to all of them for giving me a few moments of their time to help make these episodes a little bit more enjoyable and definitely much easier for me, because I did not want to be speaking into a mic for 15 minutes on end at a time. I got plenty of time for the rest of the year to do that. But I appreciate each and every one of you guys rocking with me all week long. And I hope that in doing these shows, hopefully I got you guys wanting to tune in to the race this weekend, even if for a little bit. And I'm telling you, if you will not regret it. So with that being said, happy race day, everybody. Enjoy the 63rd running of the Rolex 24 this weekend. I will be back with you guys next week. Depending on the content I get, we may do another 5 episodes. It may just be 2. I'll let you guys know on the socials when I get to that point. But with that being said, I appreciate you guys so much. I cannot say it enough. Thank you for rocking with me all week long on this show. Just a reminder, on my socials, I'm on Instagram at belove.n.unbowed. I'm on X at DA Lawrence Jr. Jr. I am on LinkedIn and Facebook at David A. Lawrence. And I'm also have my motorsports channel, DAO Motorsports, on X and on YouTube. Oh, guys, again, that'll do it for me for this week. I will see you guys next week. Until then, remember, in order to live your life to the fullest, you gotta live it flat out. Enjoy the Rolex 24. So long, everyone.